The alien queen confessed her feelings. The human never saw it coming. The alarm hit before I even opened my eyes. A deep pulse that shook the walls of my quarters, like something enormous had just slammed into the hull. I was on my feet before I understood why, grabbing my jacket, my boots half-laced, my heart already running faster than my legs could keep up with. Red light flooded the corridor outside. Somewhere far below, metal groaned like it was in pain. My name is Adam Whitlock, and I had exactly 4 seconds to decide whether to run toward the noise or away from it. I chose toward it, because that is what I always did, and because somewhere in that direction was Queen Sathara, and I could not make myself think about anything happening to her without moving. The corridor twisted upward through the spine of the hive ship, a place I had walked 100 times in the 8 months since I became the only human allowed to live among the Vashdari. The walls here were smooth and dark, faintly warm to the touch, almost alive in the way they seemed to breathe with the ship's own rhythm. Right now that rhythm was broken. Panels flickered. Drones surged past me in tight clusters, moving with the kind of speed that meant something serious was happening, and nobody had time to explain it to me. I turned a corner and nearly ran into Nolan Briggs, the ship's junior engineer, and one of only 2 other humans stationed here. His face was pale under the emergency lighting. "Core breach," he said, breathing hard. "Section 9. It's not the reactor, it's the containment field around it. Something clawed straight through the outer plating." Clawed? I don't know what else to call it. Whatever it was, it didn't come from inside the ship. That single sentence did more to frighten me than the alarms had. Something from outside had broken through hull plating built to survive direct weapons fire. I thought of every threat briefing I had sat through since arriving on this ship, every warning about rival hive factions, and the raiders that hunted along the outer trade lanes, hoping none of them applied here, knowing that hope rarely mattered. "Where's the Queen?" I asked. "Command deck. She ordered a full lockdown the second the breach alarm triggered. Adam, listen to me. She asked for you by name." That single detail sent a jolt through my chest, sharper than the alarm ever could. In 8 months, Sathara had never once called for me during a crisis. She handled emergencies with a calm that bordered on unsettling, delegating to her generals, trusting her defense network, treating chaos like a puzzle to be solved, rather than a threat to survive. If she wanted me now, in the middle of a hull breach, it meant something had changed. I ran. The command deck sat at the highest point of the ship, a wide chamber ringed by screens that showed every corridor, every vital system, every heartbeat of the vessel translated into light and number. When I burst through the door, Sathara stood at the center of it all, 4 arms moving across 3 separate control panels at once, her carapace catching the red emergency light in sharp, moving lines. She turned the instant she heard me enter, and for one heartbeat, something in her posture eased. "You came," she said. "You asked for me. I did not expect you to run through a hull breach zone to answer that request." "I didn't have time to think about it," I said. "What's happening?" Nolan said something broke through outer plating in Section 9. Her mandibles clicked once, a gesture I had learned over the months to read as tension held carefully in check. A vessel attached itself to our hull without triggering our outer sensors. We believe it used a cloaking field beyond anything our defense grid was built to detect. It has cut through 3 layers of plating in under 6 minutes. Raiders? Worse. A rival hive line, the Threat Collective. They have wanted this ship, and everything aboard it, for 200 years. I felt the floor tilt slightly beneath me, though the ship itself had not moved. 200 years of hostility condensed into 6 minutes of cutting metal did not sound like a fight anyone survived by accident. "What do you need from me?" Sathara's 4 eyes settled fully on me then, and for the first time since I had known her, I saw something other than calm control behind them. I saw fear, quick and human in its shape, despite belonging to a creature nothing like a human at all.
"I need you safe," she said.
And I find that need has become larger than my judgment can easily contain. I did not have time to ask what she meant, because the deck lurched beneath us, hard enough to throw 2 of her attendants against the far wall. Lights along the ceiling shattered in a shower of blue sparks. Somewhere below, an alarm changed pitch, rising into a tone I had never heard before, one that made every drone in the room freeze mid-motion for half a second, before resuming their tasks with renewed urgency. "They are inside the outer ring. Cythera said, voice flat now, stripped of anything except command. Section 9 has been breached completely. Then we fight, I said. You are not equipped to fight the Threk. No human is. Their soldiers can survive conditions that would kill you in seconds. Vacuum, radiation, pressure that would crush steel. Then what am I equipped to do? She hesitated, and in that hesitation, I saw the answer before she gave it. I need you to reach the escape pods, she said. Section 14. I have already cleared a path. No. Adam. No, I said again, louder this time, surprising myself with how steady my voice came out, despite the way my hands were shaking at my sides. I didn't run through a burning corridor to get sent away. The second things got dangerous. Tell me what you actually need. For a long moment, Cythera said nothing. The chamber around us kept moving, drones relaying data, panels flashing warnings in patterns I could not read, but she stood still in the middle of it all, looking at me like she was solving a problem that had no clean answer. There is a possibility, she said finally, that this ship does not survive the next hour. If that becomes certain, I will not allow you to die alongside me, simply because you refuse to leave when given the chance. And if I don't want a chance that doesn't include you? Her 4 hands folded together, a gesture I had come to recognize as hers alone, something between prayer and restraint. I did not intend to say this now. I intended to wait until the danger passed. But danger does not appear to intend to give me that courtesy, so I will say it plainly instead. I have grown to care for you in a way that exceeds every boundary my position requires me to maintain. I have known this for months and said nothing, because saying it changes everything, and because I feared what saying it might cost either of us. I am telling you now, in the middle of chaos, because I refuse to lose the chance, simply because the timing was inconvenient. I stood there, stunned into stillness, while the ship shuddered again around us, sparks raining down from a fractured conduit near the ceiling. Somewhere in my chest, something loosened that I had not realized was tight. You picked now to tell me that? I have never been skilled at choosing convenient moments, she said, and despite everything, despite the alarms and the sparks and the enemy cutting through her ship one layer at a time, there was the faintest trace of something like a smile in the way her mandibles shifted. I feel the same, I said. I've felt the same for a long time. I just never thought a queen would want to hear it from someone like me. Then we have both been foolish for longer than either of us needed to be. A new voice cut through the moment, sharp and urgent. One of her generals calling from across the chamber. Eminence, they have reached the inner corridor. Estimated time to command deck, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. The number landed like a physical blow. Whatever this conversation had been, whatever door it had opened between us, there was no time now to walk through it slowly. We need a plan, I said, forcing my voice steady. Not an escape plan. A plan that stops them. Cythera's eyes narrowed, calculation replacing fear with startling speed. The inner corridor leading here has a single choke point, a junction built to slow invaders exactly like this. If we collapse the support beams above it, we seal the path completely. But triggering it manually requires someone physically present at the control node, and the node sits directly in the path they are advancing through. How long would it take to reach it? 90 seconds, if nothing stops you. And if I go, you would need to trigger the collapse and retreat before the corridor seals. A window of perhaps 8 seconds. I cannot ask this of you. You're not asking, I said. I'm offering. Adam. You just told me you care about me in the middle of an attack because you refuse to wait for a better moment. Let me do the same. Let me refuse to wait for a safer plan. She looked at me for one long second, and in that look, I saw every version of the calm, controlled queen I had known for 8 months, finally cracking under the weight of something far more human than either of us expected her to feel. Go, she said, and return to me. I ran. The corridor leading toward the junction was darker than the rest of the ship, lit only by intermittent flashes from damaged panels overhead. My boots echoed against the metal floor, each footstep loud enough to make my pulse spike further. Somewhere ahead, I could hear it now, a heavy grinding sound, metal against metal, the sound of something enormous forcing its way through a passage never meant to admit it. I reached the control node with seconds to spare, a small panel embedded in the wall beside a set of massive support struts rising toward the ceiling. My hands moved across it exactly as Estafera had described through the comlink in my ear, entering a sequence of commands while the grinding sound grew louder behind me, closer with every passing second. A shape appeared at the far end of the corridor, tall and broad, moving with a mechanical certainty that made my stomach twist. I did not wait to see more of it. I finished the sequence, slammed my palm against the final control, and turned to run the instant the struts above me groaned in warning. 8 seconds, she had said. It felt like far less. I sprinted back the way I came, as the ceiling behind me began to fold inward, support beams collapsing in a controlled cascade that sent a wave of dust and debris chasing after me down the corridor. I did not look back. I focused only on the light ahead, the open doorway leading back toward the command deck, and the sound of my own breathing filling my ears, louder than the collapse behind me. I made it through the doorway, as the corridor sealed completely, a wall of fallen metal and stone cutting off the path entirely. Silence followed, heavy and sudden, broken only by my own ragged breathing and the fading echo of settling debris. The Stara was there instantly, 4 arms reaching for me before I had even fully caught my balance, steadying me with a strength that could have crushed steel, but instead held me with a gentleness I had never expected from something so powerful. "You are unharmed," she said, and it was not quite a question. "I'm fine," I managed between breaths. "Did it work?" A general's voice answered before she could, relayed through the chamber speakers. "Eminence, the collapse is confirmed. Enemy advance halted. Their vessel is disengaging from the hull, likely due to structural risk on their end as well. We believe they are retreating." Relief spread through the chamber almost visibly, tension easing from shoulders and postures all around us, though Cythera's attention never left me even as the reports continued around her. "You could have died," she said quietly. "For my ears alone." "So could you. Every day you sit on that command deck," I said. "I wasn't going to let this be the day you faced it without me." Her hand rested against the side of my face then, careful and slow, the same gesture I had once used on her without fully understanding its meaning. Now I understood completely. "I meant what I said," she told me. "Every word." "I meant it too," I said. "And I'm not taking it back just because the moment wasn't perfect." Around us, the command deck slowly returned to its normal rhythm, drones resuming their quiet, efficient work, alarms fading into silence, the ship settling back into the steady hum I had grown used to over the past 8 months. But nothing about this moment felt like returning to normal. Something had shifted between us, forged in the middle of danger rather than despite it, and neither of us seemed inclined to pretend otherwise. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now," Sistara said, "we repair the damage, reinforce the defenses, and prepare for the possibility that the threat collective returns with greater numbers." And after that? For the first time since I had known her, she allowed herself something close to a genuine smile, subtle as it was on a face built so differently from my own. "After that, Adam Whitlock, we discover what it means for a queen and a human to build something neither of our people has ever attempted before." I looked around at the chamber, at the ship still humming with quiet resilience, despite everything that had just tried to tear through it, and at the being beside me who had just risked exposing her heart in the middle of the most dangerous moment either of us had faced together. Whatever came next, whatever the threat collective planned, whatever politics or fear or distance stood between a queen and someone like me, I found myself certain of one thing above all else. I was not walking away from this, not from her, and not from whatever future we were now choosing to build, together, in the wreckage and the calm that followed it. The alarms had gone silent. The ship was safe, for now, and somewhere in the middle of chaos, without warning, without perfect timing, I had found something I never expected to find so far from home.